It does do a good job of keeping the heat out, superb job of keeping the heat out. I also think it keeps the warmth in the winter. I think it does a good job of that as well. Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. So I'm going to continue this series we're doing. I've bought a Subaru and I'm moving into it. And so if you are just starting out and you just starting to move into your vehicle, getting it ready to move into the vehicle, these are things that you need to do to be able to live in it or travel in it for long periods of time, whichever you're doing. We've done a lot of work on the inside. We've taken the seats out and we've done a lot. And so today we're going to talk about privacy. Because if you're going to be living in here, that means you're going to be sleeping in here. You're probably going to be changing clothes in here. You may be going to the bathroom in here. So the one thing you do not want is people to look in and see you in there doing all these things. So privacy is really one of your very highest priorities. So I'm going to walk you through some steps, varying in price, how you can maintain your privacy in your vehicle. But it's not just privacy. Another big thing you want to do with your windows, beyond giving privacy, so no one's looking in at you doing whatever you're doing, but you also want the heat of the summer to be kept out. And when it's cold in the winter, you want to keep the whatever warmth you have inside, you want to keep that inside. So one of the things you're looking for out of your window cover is temperature. So keep the heat out, keep the warmth in the winter. Finally, you got bugs. I'm sorry to say it. Wherever you go in this great country of ours, you're going to run into bugs. Here in the desert, bugs aren't much of an issue, but at night, there's moths. And moths won't bite you, but they're sure annoying. At any rate, and there's a lot of the country, especially in the summer when we're not here in the desert, we're out in the forest, and the forest is known to have mosquitoes and all kinds of weird things, little flying critters, biting flies, black flies, regular old flies, and you don't want those inside. So another thing we want to do is try to keep bugs out. So all these things become really important jobs that you want to be done by your window covering. Well, the very first thing I did, and the very first thing I recommend you do, is go down and get a very dark tint. I went down in my local town, which was Flagstaff, Arizona. There's, must be half a dozen different places that will put on window tint. And I went down and said, I want the darkest tint you can get. And I also want to keep as much heat out as I can. And he said, this is the product. It's $400. I did all the back windows. And so it's expensive, but to me, it's the very first thing you do, is you get the windows tinted very, very dark. And so that's what I've done here, and it does make a huge difference. Just standing here in the sun like this, I can't really see anything inside. It works really, really well, and I do believe, I haven't done these scientific measurements, I do believe it keeps the heat out. Now, one of the questions you're going to have, what about the side windows and the front? Well, the big thing with window tinting is it's your local laws. You have to obey your local laws. And the general accepted idea is that whatever your local laws, whatever your license plate says, the laws of that state apply even when you travel. That's generally accepted, but any cop anywhere in the country can decide that's not true, and he's going to cite you. So the laws are kind of hard to be sure about. It's almost always illegal to tint your front windshield, so I did not. There's nothing on my front windshield. Generally, it's a very, very light tint is generally legal, but there are exceptions, so don't go by anything I'm telling you. You find out the laws in the state you're registered in. I did the lightest tint he could possibly do. He said it would keep a lot of the heat out, but it's such a light tint that it won't, the cops will be okay with it, and I can see out at night. I'm not sure. I may wish I had not done that. Now, if you're in a hot state, Arizona, California desert, if you're in a hot state, you will often see all the windows super dark, and they don't seem to get tickets. So that's another thing for you to be concerned about. So that's my personal first step, is to tint. The next step is something that you may or may not want to even consider. I did it because I've owned numerous vehicles before now. I've owned, the last few vehicles I've owned were, I owned 2 different vans and then a pickup. And so for both all three of them, I put on an Adco windshield cover. This is made by a company named Adco, although there's a bunch of different brands now. And these were started to come out in the 70s, 70s and 80s, when RVs became real popular and people wanted to cover their RV windshield because, you know, on a Class C or a Class A. So Adco went into the business of making RV covers and RV windshields, and that's exactly what this is. I paid about 50 bucks for this. I've had it, I think, 7 years. It's been on the windshield in the sun and the rain, and it has held up incredibly well. These are super well built items. They're very, very simple. They've got a simple loop here that goes over the door like that, and then they've got a this goes around your mirror. And then it used to have a Velcro strap here that came off long ago. And then has a nice strong magnet down here. So you get it down there, you'll put the magnet on it, and then you go around and do the same thing on the other side. And the heat from the windshield cannot get in. It's blocked out here. We're going to talk about reflectics, but the problem with the reflectics is the heat has already gone through the glass. And so this is far better. And I had it, and I've kept it around for a long time. It fits terribly. It's really loose because it was made for a van, and this is a little car, but it works great. Now, again, this will fit any vehicle. It will only fit Chevy vans perfectly, but it will fit almost anything. It will just be a little sloppy. As the vehicle gets smaller, such as my Subaru, it gets really sloppy, but it still works great because you just close the door over it, and it's not going anywhere. They'll last forever. When I bought this one about 6, 7, 8 years ago, I don't remember what, it was about 50, and now I think it's into the 70s. So everything's gone up. I really highly recommend this. And of course, it's not keeping bugs out. I've left the windows open with it on it, but they're coming right around it. It doesn't seal anywhere near tight. It doesn't do any good for the bugs. It does do a good job of keeping the heat out. Superb job of keeping the heat out. I also think it keeps the warmth in the winter. I think it does a good job of that as well. That's just the impression I've gotten over the many years of using it. Okay, the next item we're going to talk about is, now you see these all the time. They're kind of like socks, stretchy nylon socks that fit over the door. I've ordered a couple of those to play with and test, and they work really well. These are something really to give thought to. This is brand new. I'm just taking it out of the box, and it's just a sock. It's like a nylon sock. I've looked at others, and this seems to be one of the better quality ones. So it's about $11. It's really, really cheap. One of the ideas behind this is that you drive around with it on. I don't think I would do that. This is for when I'm parked, and you just open the door. The Subaru is a tiny car, but it's got some pretty big windows. It's actually got some of the bigger windows of most cars. And you got to be careful because the corners will grab it. But it goes on well. It goes down pretty low. I've been impressed with these. I think that would do a good job. So it's much darker. You can have the window down. It's not a perfect fit. There are a few places where mosquitoes or flies could get through, but there are not many. So I like these, and I would recommend these. This is $11. You only get 2. And it's just for this window, but you know, you can have your window open and still get a fairly decent shade. This will keep no-see-ums out. It's very, very fine mesh, so that means that you don't get as much airflow because there's such a fine mesh. You don't get the best airflow like it was if it was a bigger mesh, but it still works. And when you're parked between the tent and this, I think it's going to do a really good job. Now, this is a 5-pack. That was a 2-pack. And the price on this is about $35. So, but it covers all the windows. It comes with a 5-pack. It covers the 2 windows, and then it even has one for the back. And so I think that's a nice thing. Okay, this is a small one, and it seems like the mesh isn't nearly as thick. It doesn't look like nearly the quality to me. The mesh is not nearly as fine. I don't know if it would keep out no-see-ums. Well, that worked well. This one actually has a thing to go around the mirror. They have the idea that you're going to have this on while you're driving, and I don't think I would ever do that, but that's actually works pretty well. And now they have one for the back, and I have not played with this. Let's see what it looks like. This has magnets. It's supposed to fit over most nearly all vehicles with a hatch. Okay, so I went ahead and just did this. This is the Honda tail cover. So it has, it just kind of drapes over up here, and in here it has magnets, and they just, you know, hang over that. And here at the strut, it has Velcro, good Velcro, good tight Velcro. And so you just put it around the strut and then put it together. This is going to keep mosquitoes out of there. And here on the side of the body, it's magnets. You can hear them kind of snap it down, keep them pulled up. So that's all pretty tight. Now on my car, and I think a lot of cars, this body panel here is plastic. So this is metal, and I got good magnet bite. Here, not so much. Down here, it seems to, you know, just drape and hang down and cover that pretty well. So there's only a few gaps where bugs can get in. I think it'll work pretty well. And then here in the middle, it has a two-way zipper. So this goes up, and then this goes up as well. Yeah, I like it. I think this is going to be a really good thing. You can keep your window popped, your back popped up. Bugs won't come in, and a lot of the sun won't come in either. So that's good. I like this. Okay, so that gives you an idea, and there are more brands. I didn't buy a lot of them, or different ones. The Echo Now I thought was better for the back windows than the Honda, this one, although I do like this a lot. Okay, so I think that gives you a couple ideas of how to cover it, and then on another separate video, I'll show you how to cut up the Reflectix because it's got a little long. Okay, I hope you got something out of this video. It gives you an idea of how to, you know, if you got a hatchback, how to cover your hatchback, but keep bugs out, keep the sun out. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If it has, then like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, maybe tell some of your family and friends about this channel and tell them there's a whole nother way of life they can live. And I'll see you on the next video here on Cheap RV Living. See you then.